What's up, world? Tomato here, and welcome to The Late Show. I'm still working on a name. I'm gonna be your host, Tomato. So I decided to start doing a weekly news video for a number of reasons. I wanted to make a weekly video where I'm interacting with you guys, rather than you guys just staring at a screen of me staring at a screen of you guys staring at a screen. Screenception. But I don't want it to be just Fridays with Pewds or anything like that, things that have already been done before. So I thought, what would be something I could do? Well, I don't know how to deliver the news. I kind of wanted it to be like an ode to Jon Stewart, except I'm not South African, I'm not funny, and this isn't on Comedy Central. I remember when I was younger, and the hardest thing for me was finding reliable news to go to every day. Every week at least, because I'd always have friends come to school and like, hey, did you hear blah blah blah's new album? And I'm like, no, blah blah blah's new album? No, I didn't even know blah 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 existed. They do. Anyways, it was always things like I felt like I was behind and uninformed with the world going on around me. So my goal is to help give you guys the information and sources you need to stay informed and form your own amazing unbiased opinions. It'll be mostly factual information. Can't promise anything, because I didn't write all this stuff or do all of this stuff or create all of this stuff, and I can't promise that I will stay unbiased. Stories sometimes bring the worst out in me. Thanks, Obama. Anyways, that's where we are, so let's get this thing started. What? No! Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is something that we've all been listening to, thrown over here, thrown over there, something just that's been completely misconstrued, and I don't think anybody even knows what it's really about anymore, anyways. The Iran deal. Alright, you heard me say it, you can skip ahead if you want, but I'm going to talk about it real quick for everybody, so that we all have the same idea of, we all know what's going on. In the Iran deal, the P5+1, which is the UK, the US, France, Germany, China, and Russia, as well as Iran, all had their ambassadors, and they all fought it out. They had their huge dispute, had whatever it is they all do over there, I don't know, have tea, I don't know. After compromises from both sides, they put together a deal. Thing number one, Iran pretty much cannot use fuel or anything, the Iraq heavy water reactor that they have, not allowed to do anything with it, really. They're not allowed to even reconstruct something that can do the same thing as Iraq. Iran also has about, I believe it was 19,000 centrifuges, and they have to shut down about 13,000 of those. They're only allowed to have uranium that is enriched to 3.67%, up to 5%, but they have a cap on how much they can make up to 5%. Anyways, anything up to 5% isn't even weapon capable. They can't use that to make weapons at all. You have to have at least 20% enriched uranium to make a nuclear weapon, which they have, but another stipulation of the Iran deal is that they have to dilute the uranium that they have in their stockpiles that's already 20%. Now you're probably asking yourself, what do they do with all this enriched uranium that's only 3.67%? I mean, what's that for? Most people have the idea that nuclear is used for weapons. That's it. Nuclear facilities, the 3.67% enriched uranium, that can be used for energy purposes, powering cities, powering dog walkers, powering electric bikes, powering, I don't know, it's energy purposes really is the main thing. How do we know that Iran's going to do what they're saying? They get to inspect themselves. No, they don't. Whoever says that is lying. The IAEA will be the ones that are going in and inspecting their nuclear facilities. They'll be inspecting Iraq monthly to make sure that they're not using it. They'll also be inspecting Fordo, however the heck you pronounce that, and Natanz. They'll be inspecting those daily. So they'll pretty much have somebody like full-time staff dude. I don't know, maybe he's camping out in there or something, I don't know. But he's going to be in there checking those facilities every day, making sure that they're not enriching their uranium past 3.67 or the 5% cap that they're allowed. So you're saying, okay, then I don't see where the bad part is. Well, here's the part that people misconstrue and make it seem like it's such a huge deal, like it's a bad thing, things are going to go down, they're going to get their nuclear weapons. People think that the US is the only person that has problems with Iran, and that is not true. Most of the world does. They're all just as terrified of Iran getting nuclear weapons. So, not only does the US have sanctions on them, but so do all these other countries, as well as the UN. Iran follows the stipulations in the Iran deal, and these sanctions will start to be lifted. However, if they are caught breaking any of the stipulations, they, of course, the sanctions will all immediately snap back into place. Sanctions being lifted are only going to be for economic purposes. And sanctions that are in place are bans on their exports that they're allowed to have, limitations on the imports they're allowed to bring in. They're also putting an 8-year ban on weapons going into Iran, is something else that's in this deal as well. We'll also be giving Iran 2.6 billion pounds, or about $4.2 billion US dollars. That's coming from the UN budget. That money is also not allowed to be used for anything except stimulating the economy, so it's going to be overlooked, the spending and the budgeting, by UN members, UN Treasury members, so they know that the money's being put in the correct places. When people are blowing a gasket over it, you now have the facts, and you're like, yo, look, you can just read it right here. Literally, just read it. I like peace. I don't really like killing people. I don't think people really like getting killed. Unless you're like some weird character from a weird Tim Burton movie or something, then maybe. But this isn't Tim Burton's world. Or is it? Also, something I failed to mention earlier is all of the links that I have for my information, all the sources that I found. I'm going to put all of them in the description. So you guys are free to go down there and look. Maybe I got something wrong. Maybe I overlooked something. You can come up here and yell at me and scream at me and, I don't know, whatever. Alright. Now that the Iran deal is out of the way, get out of here, you. We can now talk about some pretty cool things. What happened this week was D23. In case you missed it, I don't know how you could possibly miss it. It was all over the internet. D23 is Disney's little, it's like their Comic-Con that they put on every other year, every few years. Disney announced some theme parks that they're going to build at Disney World and Disneyland, and then they're also building a theme park in Shanghai. Now, what are these theme parks, you ask? I'm so glad you asked. One of these theme parks is going to be Star Wars, and yeah, it's gonna be what you think it is. Flights in the Millennium Falcon, rides in AT-ATs, dressing up as stormtroopers, fighting with Darth Vader. They have all the information on the site, and I highly recommend checking it out. Another one they announced was Toy Story Land, Pandora in their Animal Kingdom, which is gonna be like the Pandora from Avatar, which that'll be pretty cool if you're tripping balls. They're also going to be adding a lot of Marvel attractions to some of their theme parks. Movies! 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 Who doesn't like movies? I know I don't. So Disney announced a huge lineup of movies coming out. They announced a movie called Mona, and it's based off of the demigod Maui. And the movie is going to be voiced by none other than, yeah, you guessed it, Tom Cruise. No, I'm just kidding, Dwayne Johnson. They announced a movie called Coco. They announced Toy Story 4. Speaking of Pirates of the Caribbean, number 5's coming. Yeah, Dead Men Tell No Tales. And I know you're thinking, on Stranger Tides of Me, that weird sour taste you get after eating sour, nasty milk. And you're like, I really don't want to ever drink milk again because that was a bad experience. But I promise, this one's going to be better. Orlando Bloom's coming back. So Will Turner's going to be in it. And also Gibbs and Barbosa are also making a return in this one. Coming out in 2017. It's going to be a must-see. I can swear by it. They have a movie coming out called Gigantic in 2018. It's going to be a Jack and the Beanstalk type storyline. The music in it is going to be scored by the same people that did Frozen. Get it out of your system. I'll wait. God, I wish we could just let. They have another movie coming out early 2016. It's going to be called Zootopia. It's going to be all the little furry creatures, you know, wearing their clothes and being all cute and doing their little thing. And the big one that everybody's waiting for, June 17th, 2016, Finding Dory's hitting those theaters. We've been waiting for this for, subtract the 20. Finding Dory is going to follow the story of Dory trying to find her family, which was one of the little secrets that we never really got to explore in Finding Nemo. Another semi-serious headline that hit the internet this week was news about a Line 5 pipeline. What it is about the pipeline is that the pipeline is in really bad shape. So Vice News teamed with Motherboard and made a documentary over the Line 5 pipeline, which I highly, highly recommend. It's only about a 12-15 minute documentary. I have the link down in the description. So there were a couple of albums released yesterday, and there will be a few released here in the next week or so, as well as a few announcements. So a couple of the albums that were released Disturbed released Immortalize, their first album since their hiatus, and I have never been so. This new album is going to be huge for them and their success, and I'm so excited. Oh my god, I love Disturbed. When they went on hiatus, it was awful. But we're okay now, it'll be alright. I'm here for you. Shh, shh. Also, Raccoon Bandit released their album Close Your Eyes. Raccoon Bandit's a folky band. I really like the folk music, so I decided to share a band that's not really that well known. So if you have the time, if you like folk, check out Raccoon Bandit's Close Your Eyes. Came out yesterday as well. August 28th, Icy Stars will be releasing their new album, Phases, and The Weeknd will be releasing their new album, Beauty Behind the Madness, which he released a single for, and it was featuring Lana Del Rey, called Prisoners. Outstanding. The Foles will also release an album on the 28th called What Went Down, and they released the single called What Went Down, a few weeks ago. What Went Down was more like, I didn't really listen to the song, I experienced the song, and that was something new to me. That was different, and I really appreciated it. So if you guys are watching this, thank you. Some other cool news that went down this week. Banksy, the artist over in England that's unknown, mysterious, anonymous, he got together with a bunch of different artists, and they went to this small town. They all built these huge art pieces in the middle of this town, and they're calling it Dismaland. Dismaland? It's Banksy's version of Disneyland. Really gloomy, kind of creepy, but the artwork there is really, really cool. It'd be like the way I would describe it is like a theme park. But when you go in, the attractions are all art exhibits, but it's not really like an art show or an art gallery. It's like something new. Well done, Banksy. We'll have to give you a word. What kind of word should we give it? We'll call it an art park. An art park. Banksy created an art park. Dismaland will be selling about 4,000 tickets per day, and the tickets are only about £3 or £4 a piece, so it's not really that expensive either. Alright, the part you're all waiting for. The games to look for. Wow. Yes, I just made that noise. It's getting that time, gamers. We all know what time it's getting. So a few games that are coming out. Number one, we all know what's coming out anyways, but I have to say just because I've been waiting 5 years. Fallout 4's here. Scalebound's another game coming out. It's going to be an Xbox exclusive, and they showed some gameplay of it at Gamescom, so I'm sure you can find it somewhere on YouTube. It's pretty exciting. It looked like a mixture of like Final Fantasy 15, which that was amazing too if you played the demo. Well done, Square Enix. It looked like a mixture of Final Fantasy 15 meets Devil May Cry meets something where this huge dragon follows you around. Destiny the Taken King is going to be coming out in September, which Bungie assures us that is going to be much, much, much better than the first Destiny. They focused a lot more on the storyline, they say. Ask me what the storyline in Destiny was. Exactly. Halo 5 Guardians is coming out October 27th, and Microsoft is releasing a special edition Halo 5 Xbox One to go with it, which is going to be pretty sweet. It has like some really cool like sci-fi blue, like it's really cool. It looks really cool. The game Zombie just came out a couple days ago, which is another zombie horror survivor type game if you're really into those. This one's supposed to be really, really cool. Final Fantasy Type 0 HD just got their PC release. What happened to PC Master Race? And the last game that I'm going to be announcing this week is called The Adventures of Pip, which is actually really, really cool. It comes out August 18th. It came out August 18th for PS4, and it came out yesterday for Xbox One. And if you haven't checked it out, definitely do it. Basically, you're like a 1-pixel character in a 32-bit world. And one of the powers that you have is you can drain the pixels, the bits from your enemies, evolve yourself into a higher pixel character. So basically this game is you're evolving from this to this. Alright, one more thing going on tonight. There are huge fire issues going on the Pacific Northwest. If you haven't been paying attention to that, you've probably been hearing about the fires in California. Well, there are also fires going on in Washington, Idaho, Oregon, all those places over there. President Obama signed yesterday a federal emergency in Washington as they had to evacuate 2 towns, 2 communities, due to the fires. What a federal emergency does is the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA have permission to go into that town and offer relief and services to people that have been displaced due to the fires, and also aid to any of the firefighters or anything. There are about 30,000 firefighters at this moment fighting fires over in the Pacific Northwest. That's including all of those states, Washington, Idaho. So far, there have been about 1 million acres burned. 1 million acres have been burned. States are requesting aid from New Zealand and Australia as well as Canada. I know helped out with some of the fires. One last segment for the week. It's going to be kind of our little WTF segment. If any of you have been following the presidential campaigns going on, I know it's a little early into the season, there are already at least 24 candidates that are running for the presidency. Over in North Carolina, they did a poll over who they would vote for president if the election was today. And the results were a little odd, and they even announced it on the news. You can find a clip of this. Number 1 was Hillary Clinton. Number 2 was Donald Trump. And number 3... These nuts! Got him! That's right, there's a presidential candidate out there from Iowa whose name is These nuts. I'm not sure what any of his stances are, but he probably has something to do with lowering time that you spend in prison for sexual assault. Thank you guys for tuning in this week, the week of our inception. I'm going to make this a weekly thing, so if you guys have any ideas, any requests for something I should cover, if you think I shouldn't cover something, just let me know, leave a comment, message me, email me, write me a letter, smoke signals. I promise I will get back to you within a timely manner. Could be a couple years though, as I learn how to do smoke signals. Alright, with that I say sayonara. Tomato out.